Welcome back to redheart.com as well as the Crochet Crowd. I'm your host Mikey, and in today's tutorial we are going to explore this fabulous little baby sweater. You have been asking for it and I said okay, let's do it. We are doing the baby series for January 2014. This is called the Flower Petal Sweater, and I'll put a link in the more information so you can access the free video for this. This just took me one evening to do, and this pattern is available for 6 months, 9 months, 12 and 18, and it's featuring Ann Getty's baby yarn, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a moment. So let's do a quick review of your yarn. I'm using the Ann Getty's yarn, and when I turn it over you're gonna look for the gauge. So if you're substituting your yarn at all with any other Red Heart product, you're gonna wanna make sure that you see a light and then the number 3, because that's dictating the gauge of the yarn itself, just like so. We are gonna be using a 4.25 millimeter crochet hook today, size G, and if you're substituting with Super Saver you're gonna wanna pay attention to this because the Super Saver is a 4, and so then your sweater will end up being bigger. So you need to pay attention to small little things like that so you don't really end up with a size that's way out of alignment for the young one that's going to be wearing it. So let me direct your eyes to the pattern here. It's available in the more information link. Just want to bring your eyes to the point of understanding how to change sizes. So if you've never done clothing before, if you've never done child's clothing, you're gonna notice here that there is different sizes available within the same pattern. So it says directions are for 6 months. So if you follow the directions and just pay attention to the first number, then you'll end up with a 6 month. So it says the changes for 9, 12 and 18 months are in the parentheses. So the finished chest, the first number will be 6 months, the second number is 9, the third number is 12, and the fourth number is 18. So anytime you see these particular parentheses throughout your project, it says rows number 8, that would be 6 months, and then etc 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 going along, and then it will say DC in the next 17, and then you'll see 19, 20, 24. So depending on what size you're working on is the number that you'll be paying attention to, and this makes the directions look really long, but in actual sense you're only using just a section of it because it's giving you all the sizes that you need. So that's just a little helpful hand for you today. And finally, looking at the second page of the directions, you will notice that there's little diagrams like this. These are really extremely helpful to you. So what happens here is that the sweater is divided into language, and so if you really look at the top here, the top section here, this is called the yoke, and you'll see that it's divided in two. That doesn't mean that there's two different sides to this project, and you see how it's going around just like so. That's a neck size. So this yoke is just basically starting on one side coming back around to the other. So that's just the seam line that's just down the middle, and then the skirt is the same way. So it's a skirt on both sides as we go around. So this gives you a great indication. Remember what I just said about the parentheses? That's what these mean here. So this total diameter here would be 20 if it was 6 months, and etc etc, and again the heights and the lengths just like so are indicated in parentheses to give you the sizing that it should be, and that should be a really helpful hand for you as well. So without further ado, I'm gonna get started, and we're gonna work from the top of our sweater all the way down to the bottom. We worry about the collar section right here. That is one of the last things that we will do, and the sleeves are one of the last things. So we're gonna start off just with the yoke area as we come around down all the way. So let's begin right now. So to begin today, I want you to start off with about a 12-inch tail. We're going to use that afterward in order to sew in that so that it can be totally hidden. Let's start off with a slip knot, and I want you to chain 50. Regardless of what size you're working with, chain 50 is the right thing. So just immediately just start chaining. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Go all the way to 50. I'll meet you back up in just a moment and we'll start up. So we're gonna start off with row number 1, and this is the first trick of today. So I want you to have a beautiful clean finish at the end of your project, and if I just do into the chains as normal, you're gonna end up with a seam line that doesn't look so favorable. So what I'm gonna suggest to you is that we're gonna turn our chains over, and I just want to read the instructions first before I show you. So it says to double crochet into the 4th chain from the hook, and then 2 double crochet into the next chain, and then double crochet into the next 3 chains, and then repeat going all the way across. There's more to it, but we'll review the rest of that in just a moment. So it says the 4th chain from the hook, so let's count back. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and normally I would go into the front side, but I want you to turn it over, and you will see that there's one string that's right in the middle, and that's where I want you to go. So we're gonna double crochet, so I'm just gonna go in there, and it's like a bump. on the back. It's just one string, and what this does is that it turns your chain over to be upside down, which is what I want you to do. Just like so. So you can see now the chain appears upside down. So remember what it said? It says 2 chains then into the next, or 2 double crochets into the next chain, and this is our repeat pattern. So we want to continue to just go into the back of the chain. And what this does is it really puts that clean edge on the bottom side, because that is actually the top of your sweater. And now for the next 3 chains, it's going to be 1 double crochet each. And remember, the pattern is a repeat after this. So I find because my hook is a little bit smaller, my yarn's a little bit thinner, is that it takes me a little bit to get started, but once you get this first chain off, the rest of the project blazes through pretty quickly. So the repeat pattern then all the way across then is 2 double crochets into the next, and then the next 3 chains are 1 double crochet each. And I want you to go almost right to the end, and when I'm gonna pick back up and I'm gonna show you what to do in the final few stitches, because you'll notice that in the final of every one of these going back and forth is that there's something different going on the edge. So continue that same pattern. So 2 double crochets into the next, and then the next 3 chains are by themselves with the double crochet, and keep repeating. So I've now made it all the way to the other side, and as per the instructions, it says in the last 2 chains, it says 2 double crochet into the next, and then double crochet into the last. You should know that I ended up with 2 anyway, so it works out to be the same as if you were to follow the repeat pattern. So it's 2 double crochet, and then just the final stitch is 1 double crochet by itself. So because you've been doing this and adding in the 2 double crochets into the same stitch, it's caused your work to do a semicircle, and this is the very top of your sweater. So let's begin row number 2 next. So let's begin to turn our work, and here we go. So as per the instructions, it says chain 3, and it says count as a double crochet here and throughout. So at the beginning of our instructions, when it says chain 3, that counts as a double crochet. It says double crochet into the next, and then the next one is 2 double crochets into the next, and then double crochet into the next 4. So let's begin to go slowly. So we're going to chain 3. So 1, 2, and 3, and it says double crochet into the next. So we're just going to double crochet into the next stitch available. And then it says 2 double crochets into the next. So we're going to put 2 into the next one. 1 and 2. And this is where the repeat pattern started, if you see the asterisks. And it says 2 double crochet into the next 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the repeat pattern then, if you're going all the way across until we get to the very end, is that we are going to do, the next one is 2 double crochets into the next as per the repeat pattern, and then the next 4 are by themselves. So continue that same configuration going all the way across. Very easy to follow along. So I'll meet you back up before we finish the line, because the end of the instructions are like the last one. There's something happening that's different at the end. So we're coming up to the end of row number 2, and you have to follow the instructions there. It says in the last 3 stitches, double crochet into the next, and then double crochet into the final 2 double crochets. So I kind of ad-libbed it just to make it a lot more sense for you. So you have to really pay attention to where your stitches are going at this point. And so I still have 4 stitches left here, and I really kind of wanted to show you this, because some people think that this end piece is part of the first one, so therefore they start ending it early. So you have to make sure that you can identify your stitches in order to work. So now I officially have 3 stitches left. I know it's kind of hard to see. So here's 1, 2, and the chain is the 3rd. So as per the instructions, the first one of the 3 is 2 double crochets into it. Okay, and then the next 2 double crochets are going to be by themselves. So that was the top of this one here, and then the final one is into the chain. Do not forget to do that, because that makes a complete difference on the counts of your particular baby. So let's move along to row number 3 next. So let's turn our work, and very easy. To begin, it says chain 3, double crochet into the next 2 double crochets, and then 2 double crochet into the next double, and then double crochet into the next 5, which is your repeat pattern. So let's begin. So we're going to chain 3. So 1, 2 and 3, and so it says double crochet into the next 2 double crochets. So the first 2 stitches will be double crochet each. So here comes your repeat pattern, which is the next one. So the next one is your 2 double crochets into the next, so put 2 in here, and here is your repeat pattern. So there's your 2. So then it says the next 5 double crochets, or the 5 stitches, are going to be your 1 double crochet each for a number of 5 of them. I went the long way around on those instructions, so make sure that you have 1 double crochet in each of the next 5. You know, my brain and my fingers just automatically do the work, and sometimes explaining it is really tough. So we have 5 by themselves, so the repeat pattern then is the next one will be 2 together. So there'll be 2 double crochets into that stitch, and then we go with our 5 again. So do that all the way close to the edge on the other side, and we'll meet back up and finish it off because there's something special on that side as well. So we're just finishing up row number 3, and in the final instructions it says for the last 3 stitches, it says 2 double crochet into the next and then double crochet into the last 2. So that's just a very easy one. So just 1 each, sorry, 2 double crochets into the first one and then the final 2. So do you see how you have 2 stitches left? That's the biggest concern that new crocheters have, is they don't recognize that final chain as a stitch. So that concludes around row number 3, and you can really clearly see that you do have 3 rows, so 1, 2, and 3. So let's begin, turn our work, and we're going to move up to row number 4 next. To begin row number 4, very easy, again chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and it says to double crochet into the next 2 double crochets. So let's just do that, it's just easier to go as we read it. So 1 into the next 2, 1 double crochet into the next 2 stitches, and then here's the repeat pattern: 2 double crochet into the next double crochet, and then double crochet into the next 6. So the first one is going to be 2 into the same one, which is your repeat pattern, and then the next 6 are by themselves for double crochet. So continue to do that all the way across with the repeat pattern. I'll meet you back up on the other side. We'll finish off the final again, and this will conclude then row number 4 together. So we're just coming along to the end of row number 4, and it says across to the last 4 stitches, 2 double crochet into the next double crochet, and then double crochet into the last 3. So we have to make sure this is the first time we've been leaving 3. If you've been recognizing the pattern here, is that this one now we're leaving the 4. So we're gonna do, the first one is 2 double crochets into that one, and then the last 3 stitches are gonna be a double crochet by themselves. So very, very easy to finish that off. So that would conclude round number 4 together, and you just have to turn your work. Let's begin on round number 5 next. In row number 5, let's go. It says to chain 3, so let's start off with just chain 3, and we'll go our way through it. It says double crochet into the next 3 double crochets. So the next 3 are going to be by themselves. So the yoke at the top has to grow evenly, and that's why you don't see a consistent pattern as far as like matching up the stitches for each other like you normally would on like an Afghan, etc. So it says 2 double crochets into the next double crochet, and then double crochet into the next 7. So here's your repeat pattern. So we're going to do 2 into this one, and so now the next 7 are going to be by themselves. So let's do that, and so then the repeat pattern then is 2 into 1 and then 7 standing alone by themselves, and we repeat that all the way to the end. We're going to stop a little early just like we have been and just review the final few stitches that are left in order to follow this pattern along. So continue along. I'll meet you back up on the end of row number 5. So coming up onto the end of row number 5, it says across to the last 4 stitches, 2 double crochets into the next double crochet, and then double crochet into the next 3. So we have our 4 stitches left just like so. So the first one is going to be 2 into that one, and then the final 3 are going to be 1 double crochet on their own. And that will conclude round number 5. Now if you're doing the 6-month version, we only have 2 more rounds to go. Everybody else has a little more rounds, and I'll be explaining that as we hit to that point. So let's move along to row number 6, and let's turn our work and begin. let's begin row number 6. So we're going to chain up 3, 1, 2, and 3, and as per the instructions says chain 3, double crochet into the next 3 double crochet, and then 2 double crochet into the next double crochet, and then double crochet into the next 8 double crochet. Crazy stuff here. So we've already done our chain 3 and double crochet into the next 3 double crochets. Sometimes these directions, just saying them out loud makes them sound ridiculous. Okay, so we have the 3 standing alone by itself, and it says 2 double crochets into the next. So let's do that. And now here, this is your repeat pattern. So this is your 2 into that one. So your repeat pattern is that we're going to go 8 by themselves, and then 2 double crochets, and then 8 by themselves again. So let's just continue to do that all the way across, and we'll meet back at the end of the line. So coming up to the end of row number 6, we have, it says across to the last 5 stitches, 2 double crochet into the next, and then double crochet into the next 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the first one is going to be 2 into that one, 2 double crochets, and then the final 4 are by themselves, so double crochet each, and that will conclude off row number 6 right here. So let's turn our work in just a moment and move up to row number 7, and row number 7 is the final of the 6-month size, but I will be reviewing the other sizes in just a moment after that as well. So let's continue, turn your work, and move up to row number 7. So let's begin row number 7 for our 6-month sizes. This is your last row for the yoke area. So let's begin chain number 3. 1, 2, 3. So chain 3 times. It says double crochet into the next 3 double crochets. So we're just gonna put 1 into the next 3. Very easy. And then following along, it says to 2 double crochet into the next double crochet, and then double crochet into the next 9. So here's your repeat pattern. So we have a 2 into the first, and then the 9 are going to be standing alone, and then 2 again, and 9. So do that all the way to the end, and I'll meet you back up the other side. The other side also, like the rest of the rows, has been slightly different as well. So we'll meet back up in the last few stitches of this row. So on the other side of row number 7, it says to cross to the last 6 stitches, 2 double crochet into the first, and then double crochet into the final 5. So the first one here is going to be 2 into this one, and then the final 5 double crochets will be 1 double crochet each. So very easy to do, and for our 6-month-old people, we are done this particular yoke, and in the next one part of this tutorial, I'm just going to run briefly over what the other people need to do, and then we're going to carry on to form the armholes in just after that. So stay tuned, and I'll be right back. So right now the yoke is finished for our 6-month-old people, and this is what it will look like for all sizes at this moment. And you can see that it is a semicircle, and essentially the armholes happen because just on the shoulder area it'll be folded in half, so that you end up with armholes that are on the sides, just like so. So very easy to do, and so the stitch work then becomes less and less because this is going over top of the shoulders at the same time. Once we get into the skirt area, there you'll find that it's going to blaze along really quickly. So let's review the instructions for those that are going on to the bigger sizes, and let's pull our instructions out right now. So for those that are going from the 9, 12, or 18 months, we have finished on row number 7. This is for the 6 months. So you see 9, 12, and 18. This has to be done if you're carrying along. So the 9-month is here. So you will notice here it says 12 and 18 months. So this is the last section, this next instruction, and it's just like you have been doing along with me. Just read it along like you've been reading at the bottom of the screen, and just finish it off. For for the sizes 12 to 18 months, you will do then row number 9 and follow the instructions, and then you will see that here is 18 months only, so this is the end for the 12 right here, and so then you will finish off for the 18 months right here, and this will bring us right back down here. So regardless of what size you're working on, we'll all begin to pick up right here, and this is where the parentheses come into play, because now that you are moving to all the different 3 sizes, is that the parentheses are going to be indicating different things, and we'll review that in just a moment as well. So let's move along. We're going to go on to the next one. This will be row number 8 for all those that are in the 6 month. It's row number 9, 10, and 11 for those in the alternative sizes that we're doing. So let's move along right now. So let's begin. We are doing the front, back, and sleeves area right now. So this is for the 6-month version, but I will explain the others while we're here. And so this is row number 8 for 6 months. It's 9 for the next one, 10 for the next, and 11 for the next. I'm kind of cheating there. So let's begin. We are going to do a chain 1, just like so, and then it says to double crochet into the next 17. So you'll see that in the parentheses are there. You'll see 17, 19, 22, 24. Those are the different sizes. So when it says double crochet into the next 17, that's for the small size. That's what we're doing right now, the 6-month. And then the other ones are for the other sizes. So regardless of what size you're working on, just follow the one that's in the parentheses that makes sense for you. So for me, we're going to double crochet for 17. So now I have my 17 in. If you did the bigger sizes, you will either have 19, 22, or 24 double crochets. Now it says chain 6, and then there's more parentheses. So if you have the different sizes, you have to look at the one in the parentheses that makes sense for you. For the 6-month size, we are just going to chain 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So look in the parentheses because you either will have 8, 8, or 10. So now it says to skip the next 30, okay, and that's for the small size version, the 6-month, and then the parentheses 32, 32, 34 is for the other sizes. So we're gonna skip 30. So we're just gonna count over. I'm just gonna put my hook down, which is easier for me, and I'm gonna count 30 over. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now that I've skipped my 30 for my particular size, you're gonna skip others if you're doing the other size. You wanna make sure that you are going into the next one after the 30 is done. So I have 30, and so essentially I'm going into the next one after, so it'd be 31, and we are going to double crochet again. So I'm just gonna immediately pick it up and just go in to there. And I'm just gonna do the first one, and I just wanna verify that I did count the number of stitches over. It does make a difference. You don't want the sleeves to appear to be a different size. So just go ahead and count once again. Make sure you did get it, and make sure that you started on the next one available. So if you've skipped 30, this should be 31, and etc. So I have verified my item. So what we have here is we're double crocheted in the next, and then what it says here is that 36 is for the 6-month, 40, 46, and 50 for the different sizes, and this is going the very back of the sweater. So for my size being the 6-month, I need to go 36. This first one I just did counts as one of them, so I'm gonna go 36 double crochets all together for the 6-month size, and your size may be different. So do that all the way across. Well, not all the way across, just do it until the number says. So I'm gonna do up until 36. You may have 40, 46, or 50, and then we'll meet back up again, and we're gonna form the other armhole on the other side. So now we've come all the way across the back, and now it's time to do the other side of the arm sleeve. It's basically what we've already done. So we're gonna be chaining 6 if you're doing the 6-month. So 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we're going to be doing that, and so your chaining will be different depending on the size. Just look at the parentheses. It'll either be 6, 8, 8, or 10. And now it says to skip the next 30, 32, 32, 34. So you have to pick the one that you're doing. In my case, we are doing 30. So I'm going to jump all the way to the 30, and I'm going to double crochet into the 31 space, which will begin the next section on the other side of the front of the sweater. So once you skip your number that you needed, I skipped 30, so this is 31 here, and then you have to double crochet across the top, or across the top, which is the actual front of the sweater. And in my case, it'll be says double crochet into the final last 18, 20, 23, 25, depending on what size you're going. My size, because it's 6-month, it will be 18, and so I would just double crochet myself all over. And if you're off by 1 or 2 stitches, you know, you can always improv on this, because in the next one we're going to start doing some fan work to create the dress at the bottom, and that's where it can be kind of forgiving in order to kind of fix up your messes if you've done anything along the way. So carry on. I'll meet you back up in just a moment. We're going to turn around and begin the dress section next. So let's do a quick review. You now have your arm sleeves in. You can see them here, and that's where the baby's going to put their arms through. Very easy. Now the thing that you should notice at this point is that you have the front panel here, and then you have the sleeve, and all of this stitch work on the other side here, we don't have to worry about that when we're going all the way back and forth when it comes to the skirt. So in actual fact, your rows have gotten much smaller, so you're just going the front panel, back, and then front as you're going along. So regardless of what size you're working on right now, we're ready for the skirt, and let's begin that next. So let's start row number 1 of the skirt, and it says to chain 3, skip the first 2 double crochets, fan in the next double crochet. What is a fan? So when you go and look at the instructions, when you go back to the upper page, it says special abbreviations, and the fan has a value. It says double crochet and then brackets, chain 1 double crochet 4 times. So what I want to show you here is that how to read those, because there's 2 sets of brackets here. So let's begin our first element here. So we're gonna chain 3, 1, 2 and 3, and it says to skip the first 2 double crochets. So 1 and 2 we're gonna skip, and we're gonna fan into the next. So here's how those abbreviations are working because they're in brackets. We are going to double crochet into the first. So in the next set of brackets, the chain 1 DC is 4 times. So we're gonna do that in particular 4 times. So here we go. Chain 1 double crochet into the same stitch. Chain 1 double crochet, that was for repeating for 2. Chain 1 double crochet again, that was for repeating of 3. Chain 1 and double crochet again. So you're thinking, well, how are you gonna keep track of that? See how you have 5 here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You should have 5 going up like that. That's your fan, and there should be a chain 1 in between each. So it becomes very easy to be able to recognize this. So moving along in the fans as we're going across, the only difference of the sizes now is that there's longer distances to go the larger size of your sweater, but the fan is still the same and the stitches still work out to be the same. So let's begin again. So it says to skip the next 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, go into the 6th for a fan. So wrap, going in, and we are going for double crochet first, and then chain 1, and double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, and double crochet, and I'm done. So how do I know if I'm done that quick? Other than being fabulous, the thing is that I'm looking for 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you know you're done. So it's really quite easy. So we're about to run into an armhole. So here's how we operate that. So we're still gonna just carry along as if this is the real material underneath, except for is that we're just working with the chain instead. So when we come along, we just have to skip another 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, go to the 6th for a fan. So we're going to double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, okay, and double crochet, chain 1, and I'm looking for my 5, just like so. So again, we're gonna skip over to this section here. This is the armholes. We still want to count the stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Go to the 6th. It just happens to be on the chain in the arm. Just use that. So you have to use that. So we're just gonna do that again. So double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and we're just operating within the arm like so. So carry along and do that all the way across. Just do the same thing on the other side of the arm, and you are good to go on this particular row number 1. So we're here at the end, and now it's time to go into the very final stitches, and the stitches just happen to be workout. It says go right to the last 3 double crochets, and then we start with that. So it says to skip the last thing, so we're essentially, we have our last fan in, so I just want to double crochet into the final just to finalize this off, just like that, and just very easy, just like this. So we're gonna turn and move up to your next row, and this, I tell you, this is when it gets really quick, and you can see that this is starting to look a lot more interesting on this particular project. So let's begin row number 2 together. Rows number 2 and 3 that we're about to do is the repeat pattern for the duration of the length of this sweater. And when we finish off at the very bottom, before we change the color, we always have to finish off with row number 2, and then we change the color and do a final row number 3, and we will review that in just a little while as well. So let's begin. We are going to simply just chain up 1, and we are going to single crochet into the first double crochet. So this is how we always are going to start it, just like this, and it says single crochet into the next and then chain 3. So here is the repeat pattern for you. So we're going to chain 3 and coming back in, so we're going to go into the next, see this fan, we're going to go into this next space here. This is the chain 1 space, chain 3, coming back into the space, next space that's available for a single crochet, chain 3, and then we come in to the final for a single crochet. So when we're doing this, we're gonna be playing, we're gonna have like 3 loops like this on the top of each one of the fans, 1, 2, and 3, and you can see this loop here should be in the very middle of the 5. So what we're gonna do now is that we finished off with the single crochet, we immediately jump to the next fan and we single crochet into the next one, just like this, and then we begin again. So chain 3, single crochet, chain 3, single crochet, chain 3, single crochet, and it's just like we've already done. You can see the 3 loops, so we immediately just skip over to the next fan and immediately single crochet into the next. I actually will admit to you, this is an outtake that I had before. I had actually gone past this, well beyond this past, and then I realized that I had these major gapping spaces, like major in between the fans, and I realized that I had chain 3 in between, going in between these fans in the middle, and it created really huge gaps that were not very nice. So you know, you just have to pay attention that when you're working with these fans that you're just single crochet and then single crochet in the next before starting to do the chain 3 once again. So do that all the way across to the end, and when we come back I'll just finalize that end for you and move up to round number 3, and again round number 2 and 3 is the repeat pattern for the remainder of this sweater going down. So we're coming up all the way to the end, and we just continue along as normal right until the final gapping of the final fan, and then simply at the very end we just have to single crochet into the top of the turning chain, just like this. So that was a conclusion of row number 2. So let's start off with row number 3. So we're gonna just turn our work just like this, and so row number 3 is exceptionally easy because you have these gapping spaces that are in the top of each one of the fans. The fans just directly sit right on top of each other. So to begin row number 3, we're going to chain up 3 like so, and it says to fan and the skip over the next chain 3 space and fan into the next. So we skip over the first one, we go to the second. How I identify that, you can see that there's 3 gapping spaces, 1, 2, and 3. The middle one is in direct alignment with the one below. These fans are sitting right directly on top of each other. So to do a fan, it's just double crochet, chain 1. It's just like what you've already done. So chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and we want to get a total of 5 of those spokes again, like so. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then immediately we just reach over and we go to the middle one of the next fan. So just look over. So you're gonna skip 1 and 2, go to the 3rd gapping space, and begin the fan again. So double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, just like that. So there you go, there it's in. So you're just gonna go all the way over and just finish it off. I'm gonna repeat, I'll get over there, I'll show you how to finish this row off, and then you're gonna repeat 2 and 3 all the way down. You will see that it says to repeat 2 and 3 until the skirt area measures 4 inches if you're doing the newborns or the 6-month size. It'll have 4, 4, 5, and 5 for the other different sizes. So this is the distance between the yoke at the top of the sweater all the way down to the bottom. Now when we go to change our color at the bottom, this here is row number 3. This is the final. I have actually changed it in the directions that the last 2 rows were one color. You don't have to do that. You can follow the instructions to just make this wavy one color, or you can just leave the entire thing one color. The other thing that you have an option to, because you're the creator, is that you can make this skirt a lot longer if you wish. If you think it's too short, you can always just add more fans until you're satisfied, etc. So I'm going to take you to the end of this row number 3, show you how to finish that row off, and then you're going to do the remainder of the distance on your own going down, and then I'll show you how to do the bottom edge, and then we'll do the arm sleeves after that. When you get to the end of row 3, all you're just going to do is double crochet into the final stitch on below. So you just have to keep repeating rows number 2 and 3 to get to the distance. I'm gonna go my 4 inches as it's saying, and when I come back I'll have 4 inches done. And when we make sure that when you come back you need to be done on row number 2. So you have to have it with these chain spaces that we had on this row right here as your final before moving on to do the final edging. So do that and I'll meet you back up in just a few moments and I'll be crocheting this off camera in the meantime. So off camera I've done my 4 inches and the final row, remember what I said, it has to be row number 2. It has to be these loops because the final of the trim is the same thing that you see in the fans here. So let's finish off this color. We're just going to change, remember you can change colors at any point in this project. It doesn't have to be where it says in the pattern. So we're gonna grab the next color. This one's called Lily. It's again another Ann Geddes yarn, and I'm gonna start it off with a slip knot. It's not technically proper but it's the way that I like to begin just to make sure. I also do leave a longer tail here so that I can use a darning needle to seal that in afterward, because the worst thing you can do is have a baby have a problem with this. So what I want to do is that I want to, before I finish it off in the total end, I want to make sure I just come back and have 2 loops left onto my hook, slip on the white here and pull the white through just like this. And I want to trim my yarn, which I've already done, and so now I'm ready to turn my work and do the final edge just like so. So I want to trap in these stragglers on the top, and I'm gonna use a darning needle at the end of the project to seal the deal and get those in there so that a baby doesn't have to worry about seeing those or even grabbing onto them at all. So we're just gonna simply do exactly what we've been doing. This is row number 3 and it's just with a new color. It's just chaining 3, and we can pull this nice and tight afterward and immediately just jump into the top one as always, just like so. Chain 1 in. It's a fan. Okay, we're just doing what you already know how to do, but we're using a different color to provide a little bit of an interest to this particular project. I'm gonna let the stragglers now just fall into the background, and I'm gonna put those in with the darning needle afterward. And so we just have to make sure we do have our 5 here, and then we immediately just begin going to the next fan over here and start a fan over on the other side. So there you go. So that would be how you would finish off the bottom edge. When we come back we're gonna start doing the arm sleeves together, and what you need to determine at this point too while I'm doing this is that you have to determine what is the good side and what is the bad side for yourself, because once you get those arm sleeves in you're gonna have to commit to which side that you like the best before doing it, because that is gonna make a bit of a difference on the way that your project looks from that point onward. So continue to do this all the way at the end. Fasten off, weave in your ends. You can use a darning needle at this point to hide them in if you wish, or wait till the end like I did with the original project, but that's up to you. So here we have the sweater, and the bottom trim is now done. I have fastened off and it looks fabulous, and the top yoke is almost done. We just have to do the sleeves, and you will see that, see how the top of the yoke area, you see how it naturally opens up like that. That's part of the characteristics of this. So when you go to apply a button you can just choose any part right in the front, etc., to be able to do that. So it's just really quite easy to do, and you can slip a button through these particular double crochets. So let's begin. We have to commit to what you think is the outside and what you think is the inside. The reason for it is that we have to make sure that we start both sleeves from the same point of view. So you have just to look at it and determine which is which. So I've determined that this is going to be my good side, and so I want to make sure that I continue with that same thought process. So let's begin. We're going to do the sleeves. The sleeves is really very simple. It's only 1 row all the way around, and so it's just very quick and easy, and let's start that next. So let's begin the sleeves. We need to know where we're going to be joining it, and we're going to be joining it right on the underside. So when a child is sitting there with their arms down you will not see where you've joined this anyway. So it says to there on join C in the first, second, or fourth, those are the parentheses depending on the size, double crochet of the skip sleeve stitches in either opening. So what I want to do is that I want to take this, the new yarn, create a slip knot because that's what I prefer, and I want to create the idea here. So I want to go into this right here in the middle of the chain. So that's where we're gonna start. So we're gonna create the same thing that we've done on the skirt but on the sides of the sleeves. So I'm just going to fasten this, and then I'm gonna chain 3. So we're gonna pretend we're doing a row. In actual fact we're doing a round. So let's chain 3. Okay, so the fastening counts as 1 chaining there. And so now it says to skip over, if you remember. So we're gonna skip over 2, go to the 3rd, and this just happened. So we're gonna go all the way around the sleeve here at this point. And we're gonna do a fan as fan like we've already done in the skirt. So let's try that again. So we're just going into the side stitches here and a fan. So it's double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and keep doing that until you get your 5 in there. Really easy. I have to give the designer a lot of credit to this one. This has been really easy. So then just like before we have to skip over. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, go to the 6 and start the next one. And we're essentially just going to go around both of these sleeves in the same manner. Of putting in the, and so if you really look at the photo you can see that the baby is having what appears to be petals on the sides of their arms, and when in actual fact it's just these fans. So again we get another one in, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, go to the 6 and continue that all the way around. We'll meet back up in just a moment, and then you're gonna be left to do the next one on your own on the other side. You just remember that we fastened on with the outside of the project that we're looking at. So we make sure that when we turn this around that we fasten on looking at the outside of the project and don't turn it inside out at all. So I've come all the way around the sleeve, and all I just want to do is just join it to the top of the chain 3 that we started off with, and I want to leave a generous tail. So I'm gonna just trim this nicely, and I just want to pull it up, and I'm gonna leave a generous tail so that when I go to seal this in I'm gonna use a darning needle to go along the white. And so essentially I need you to do the other side now to have the perfect sleeves, just like so. So you can see how fabulous that looks. Actually really quite happy with that. So I'm gonna weave, I'm gonna do the other side off camera. I'm gonna weave in both ends, and then we just have the collar left, and this is almost done for today. So carrying right along, we now have both sleeves in. You can see how fabulous it is on the front and the back side. Just really quite fun and easy, just like so. So now we're ready to do the top collar. The top collar is really so simple as well, and I'm gonna show you that next. So we're almost done this particular project for today. To begin the collar we want to leave a little bit of a longer tail so that you can sew it in afterward. This is a very visible edge, and so you don't want it to be the stragglers hanging out, so you can use a darning needle to put that in. So as per the instructions we want to chain 63. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and please go all the way to 63, and we'll meet back up and we'll carry on. So row number 1 of the collar is very simple. It says to fan in the 6th chain from the hook, and then skip the next 5 chains and fan in the next, and go all the way and repeat to the last 3 chains, and then it has the final. So what we want to do is just skip to the 6th. So we go to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, just like so, and that's where we're gonna do our fan. So our fan, remember, is the double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1, and we want to get in those 5 spokes just like we've been doing all along. You see how the fans are really exciting in this particular pattern. So as soon as you have your 5, you immediately skip 5 chains. So 1, so see how this one's being pulled down? That is a chain right here. So don't, see if you went underneath, that is 1. So don't forget to to include that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we want to skip 5 chains and then go into the 6th and do another fan. So do that all the way to the end. I'll meet you back up at the end where we'll finalize this row off together and move along, and we only have like 3 simple rows for this because it is the collar. There's not a lot to it. So just continue to do the fan. When you get all the way to the end you are just going to double crochet into the final chain, and it will work out just perfectly for you. So let's simply, we're going to turn our collar now and move up the next round. The next the next row. The next 2 rows are exactly what you already know. So let's move along and do row number 2 next. Okay, row number 2 is very simple. We're just going to simply chain up 1 and we are going to single crochet into the first double crochet and then single crochet into the next gap. It's just kind of exactly what you've already know. So we're simply just going to chain 3, come into the gap space of the next on the fan, and 1, 2 and 3, next gap space, 1, 2 and 3, final gap space on the fan, and just like before we skip over to the next fan and single crochet. So continue to do that all the way across. It's just exactly what you know, and then row number 3 is repeating already what you know as well. So continue that and meet you back up in just a moment. Now coming back to the other side, we just simply want to single crochet into the final stitch, just like so, and now we want to turn our work and we simply just want to begin to do the fan again one more time. This is our very last row and you can start jumping up and down that you're done. So we're going to chain 3 and immediately jump to the middle one just like you have been all along. I'll keep it nice and brief here because you know what you're doing. Put another fan in that one and carry on to do the fans all the way across like you have been, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and simply once you get your fan in you just immediately jump to the next top one over here. So continue to do that and we're gonna fasten off. I'll let you fasten off and then I'm gonna show you the proper way of joining because I really think that the collar that I have in the original sample is upside down and I want to show you a trick to look for in order to keep your collar on looking so that it looks normal. So I'll be right back in just a moment and we'll start up and fasten on the collar. So my collar is now done. Look how fabulous that looks. It actually turned out really nicely, and so you have to bend it and put it around your project. Now one thing I noticed with my particular project, see how this is bending up like this? When I naturally did it, see the back is just wanting to pull up, and I think it's because my project is upside down. I think that I should have applied it on the other way. So what I'm recommending to you is that when you go to apply this to your project is that just do a preliminary idea. Now I'm the queen of liking to cut corners, and in the pattern it says that you should pin this to the top. I will tell you I'm the queen of cutting corners and I would totally pin this to the top because what happens is if you try to begin to affix to the top or front here, you might pull it too much to the point where you are just having way too much left at the end and you will not finish properly. So what I'm recommending to you is that just pin a couple spots, well actually just pin a couple spots and determine that when you go to put it on, is the collar going to sit down properly, and once you confirm that then just pin it all the way around and I'll show you that in just a moment. So I'm going to make an educated guess. If you look at this one here, this is the right side, and I can tell that because when I've crocheted it you can see how it kind of comes forward, and when you turn it around you can see this is the back side. And what I'm recommending to you is that look at that, and I would put it so that the back side is actually on the outside of this because it'll naturally curl inward. So I want you to grab a pin and just match it to the top, and this is just going to hold it into position as you crochet. So you don't want to go right into the stitches itself, just come right underneath. This is just a marker essentially just to hold this as you go, and so just move it along. There you go. So okay, so the collar is now pinned in and I'm just gonna adjust it here and I want to see how it looks. Like this, and so now I want to turn it around, and I think that's much better than the way that I originally did it. So now it's up to us to single crochet this into position, and I'm going to start off with the very beginning. We're actually going to slip stitch this into position, and I'm going to start off in the very beginning and I'll show you how to do that. Once you understand this concept you're pretty well done for today. Okay, grabbing the yarn, I want an extra long tail so I can weave it in afterward with my darning needle. And we just want to start off. I'm going to start off with a slip knot, and I want to just match the very corner top to the corner of the the collar. So go right into a stitch, don't go, or a chain, don't go into a gapping space because it'll be really obvious. So let me just pull everything here, and I just want to grab the string that's going to the yarn. I'm going to leave the other one on the other side, and I will use that for darning needle later. So I'm just going to grab the yarn and pull through and through. Did I say darning needle? I'm going to grab the yarn and pull it through. So now I'm just going to make my way along the white and into the other side of the blue, and I'm just going along the top. So the top, remember how I asked you to turn that chain over? You're going to see chains here. If you did a conventional chain, you would not see that so nicely. So basically every chain on the collar is going to match the chain on the blue. Now you have to make a judgment call when you're going along. If you think that it's not stretching enough, this is where you need to address it. So if you think that it's looking a little bit too sloppy, then you need to do some extra, just fancy footwork, I guess you can say, to be able to adjust it and get it into the right position. So this is where you need to do it. Just like so. So simply just go all around and just slip stitch it all together. So I'm going to leave that for you after I've just blabbed your ear off, and I will be right back, and I'm going to show you my final look, and that will end today's tutorial. So here's my finished sample for today. I just need to apply a button right in the very middle, just like the original that I did, just like so. Very easy. Make sure that when you're applying your buttons that you are extra secure to make sure that they don't fall off and become a choking hazard, because I know some people are going to say that to me. So what we have here is that I just want to point out, this is the Ann Geddes yarn, and you can see how much more yarn I have left. Because the yarn is a lightweight 3, there is a generous amount on there. I can probably at least do 2 outfits with just one ball with this, doing the 6-month size. And for that alone, for the price of the ball of yarn, getting 2 outfits for 1 ball I think is absolutely brilliant. So I should turn it around just to show you the back end, just like so. That's coming from the yarn ball, that's not from my work. So yeah, here we go. So there you go. So I'm really excited about that, and thank you so much for joining me on this very long tutorial. This has been a tutorial request to do an upgraded baby sweater, and this is absolutely wonderful. Until next time, I'm Mikey on behalf of redheart.com as well as the Crochet Crowd. This is baby month of January 2014, and we have a lot more lined up for you today.